Hey, you're with the Hellion on the Hellion Rocks. Today I'm going to be talking to a vocalist named Marty Casey. We're going to talk about how he got to where he is and what he's got going on. So let's get going. Marty, this is James, the Hellion from the Hellion Rocks. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, James. Good to talk with you. I checked out some of your other interviews on the Hellion Rocks, and it's really an awesome place, and you're exposing a lot of, talent. And I really appreciate what you're doing about getting the word out on not only new artists but also the artists that we love. So, kick-ass job.
Nice. Thank you so much. So, let's get started with the journey of Marty Casey. Our house, my wife and I were real big NXS fans. And we were devastated, of course, with the loss of Michael Hutchence. And then, a while later, we saw this show called Rockstar NXS. And where they were trying out new vocalists, they were going to pick a new vocalist for NXS. And you quickly became, in our household, in our friend circle, our favorite pick. Tell me how that happened.
Thanks, man. That was amazing adventure of a lifetime. I'm in a band called Love Hammers based out of Chicago, and we've been together for a decade, and, we're working to get a major label deal and selling out shows. At the time that Rockstar came around, the auditions, we were on tour with a band called Cake that you might know of, and we just weren't having much luck, getting beyond, Chicago. We had a little bit of touring under our belt, but we really having any trouble getting any kind of recognition from East or West Coast. And I heard about this show, and people had described me Michael Hutchence-like once in a while, not really in tone of voice, but maybe the way I perform. And I'm like, I'm going to try out for this show. And I didn't really know what reality TV was. I didn't, I was very familiar with NXS. I always loved their songwriting. So I went for it. And the moment I auditioned, I was hooked. I'm like, I'm going to get on this show. And it was like my life desire at that moment. And I just had a feeling it would do great things for me. I had a feeling it'd do great things for Love Hammers. But then when I got on the show, being deeply competitive, I wanted to win. And getting to know NXS, I really wanted to win. And it was really, I always call it like being abducted by aliens. You go in, it's 15 weeks, and then 15 weeks later, your whole life is different. But you can't really describe what happened. It's like you go in, you go on an international television show. You're in the midst of it. It feels normal, but you're just videotaping stuff and doing all that. But when you walk out of there 15 weeks later, you're known around the world, and it really makes your head spin. And it was kind of the greatest challenge, but also it gave me the greatest rewards. It really gave me a career.
Nice. Yeah, like I said, we didn't miss an episode, and we rooted for you every week, and in that process, we came to know the Love Hammers as well, and we found the music, and we actually got the CD and started listening to the Love Hammers music, and ultimately you didn't come out on top, but you still in our books you won, and that led to you showing up in New Mexico singing for LA Guns, another one of my favorite bands. And we had the fortunate opportunity to meet you. I know you met a lot of people on the road, but it really made my wife and daughter's day to see you. And that was a cool journey. How did that happen?
So, the Love Hammers, we put out some albums with Epic. And then I was kind of known as a songwriter. And Jeremy Guns, Tracy's bass player, had done some work for the Love Hammers on the road in regards to merch. And he said, you're a great songwriter. We're writing a record. LA Guns got a deal with Paul Black, the original LA Guns singer in the band, and the original, I should say.
Right.
And I just flew up to Canada to write some songs, and I wrote about 6 songs in that first week. And then I was flying up to just vocally produce Paul Black. And as I was flying back, Paul quit. And then I get up there, and Tracy said, would you like to, sing these songs on this record? And I was blown away. I mean, it was like making a quick decision. We're with Steve Thompson, that mixed Appetite for Destruction, and he mixed produced Korn, and he's sitting at the board, and they're like, do you want to do it? And I'm like, absolutely, getting the opportunity to record with Tracy Guns, in my eyes, one of the greatest metal guitarists and soloists. I mean, just getting to see him day after day touring around the world. The guy he could, rip out a solo, and then in recalling what he played, he could harmonize that solo in another pass. And it's just unbelievable, his depth of guitar knowledge and its finesse. I was blown away
Absolutely.
just to play with him for a year.
Absolutely. I remember that show, and in my mind's eye, in my mind's ear as well, I was wondering, well, what kind of fit would Marty be with LA Guns? How would he handle that? And just so I was duly impressed. Your high energy on stage, you did the songs justice, and the entertainment value was well worth seeing you perform with LA Guns, man. I appreciate that.
I thought it was more of like a punk rock version of LA Guns. I don't have quite the vocal range that Phil has, really high. So it was more taking it down and being, even pushing the songs a little faster in the BPM, and then just annihilating it on stage in a punk style. And Tracy
it was
really
raw and aggressive.
Yeah, he liked that just for getting it a little more aggressive and not trying. I'm like, I can't be Phil. He's got an amazing upper register. I don't have that. So he said, let's take it in a different direction. And I thought it really worked. It was definitely great entertainment value, but I'm also happy to see the real deal back intact with Phil and Tracy, and I'm a fan.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about all your later accomplishments here, and we're leading up to a really cool new one. Let's back up far back a minute. And how did this all happen? How did you realize you wanted to sing and songwrite? What led you there?
I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and my 5 brothers and sisters always played instruments and eventually got tired of them, kind of hand them down, or, just they kind of wind up in my room. And I just started kind of being my thing, just sit in my room and play guitar with my brother, or, write songs with my sister, funny songs, and play it for the family at, like after Sunday dinner. And it seemed to, like, resonate and gave me, like, an identity in this huge family. It's like, oh, he likes music. And I always pretended like, I got a brand new electric guitar and I'd invite my friend over, and I didn't have one. I just really wanted to have one. So my dad was eventually like, we got to buy him a nice electric guitar. Kid's just pretending like he has one. So I got that guitar, and I just really, even from the beginning, started songwriting. And then, with a group of friends I had, at 9 years old, the Love Hammers were on my T-ball baseball team. We all liked Motley Crue and Van Halen and Zeppelin. We said, let's start a band. None of us really played much except for the drummer, and we just all learned together. And then 20 years later, we're signed to Epic, or more than that. It just took forever. But, it was an amazing journey from the start with a group of individuals where none of you play, picking it up in the garage or the basement, and then years later, actually becoming a real deal band. Pretty phenomenal.
Nice. So, growing up, what kind of, I know you mentioned a couple bands there, what vocalists really hit your heart, and you thought, man, I want to sound like that?
What blew me away was Robert Palmer. My brother really liked Robert Palmer, and he was so raspy and bluesy, but he was kind of so slick, and the songs had a really big beat. And I remember that being one of the artists, like, who is this guy? Because the voice to me was really unique and had this weird, crazy bluesy, like, really smoky tone. And I remember that's one of the first guys I'm like, oh, I wish I could sing like that. And I remember waking up in the morning and pressing record play on my boombox, and when my voice was all raspy as a 10, 12-year-old, trying to sound like Robert Palmer with a raspy voice, and try to get it on, recorded on my boombox. And I, of course, sounded like a high-pitched weasel compared to him, but I just remember how much he affected me and how much I loved Robert Palmer back in the day.
Nice. Yeah, good influence. And it sounds like myself, I have a broad spectrum of influences throughout my life that, from old school country to, straight up thrash metal. And I think that gives me a greater appreciation of music, not pigeonholing myself or locking myself, only listen to metal. I think I get the impression that that's how you are. You're open to all music and you just listen.
Absolutely, and it really stemmed from, my dad only listened to Willie Nelson. My mom pretty much only listened to Barbra Streisand. My brothers only listened to Zeppelin and Van Halen and AC/DC. My sisters listened to Madonna and Cyndi Lauper. So it was, just all that being strewn down to me coming through the walls at our tiny little house. It just affected my brain that it wasn't one style, and it was kind of just everything. And going to different concerts they'd bring me to, it was anything. So it really didn't care about a genre. It was more about hooks. I really love big hooks.
Nice. That's it. That's the thing. From your heart, and if it hits you and makes you move, then it works.
Exactly.
So many people, and so many people, they try to tear down and box things in, and I think that is doing a disservice to the music community instead of being open and just listen to the music. Don't try to read anything more into it than it's there to make you feel good and make you move tap your foot, nod your head. And that's why I don't like to put labels or boxes or genres on things. It's rock and roll or it's just music. You know what I mean?
Yes, it either affects you or it don't. I think if you have a lens over a song before you even listen to it, you're never really going to get to the guts of it and see if it affects you. You just kind of let it wide open. See a particular song, it could be a metal song could affect a pop person as easily as a pop person could be affected by a metal song. Just if their ears are wide open, they leave it open to possibility, and they could really be moved by something different than they think they would like.
Exactly. Now, we got to where you came from. We got to Rockstar in Excess. We got to LA Guns. We talked about the Love Hammers. You've got some really exciting new music coming out. Talk to me about that.
I got a great opportunity to make my first solo record with a producer named Marty Fredrickson, and he's done the last few Aerosmith records, did a Mick Jagger solo record, done a Carrie Underwood record, done Buck Cherry records. Just an awesome producer, and I reached out and said, hey, do you have any songs that are amazing? He's one of my favorite songwriters, and I said, I'm thinking of putting together a solo record, and I'd love to do a song of Marty Fredrickson's because he's an unbelievable writer. He said, what are you doing? I said, I want to do a solo record. I've never done one. He said, I'll produce it. I said, whoa. And it just kind of took me back, and that was about 2 years ago, and he just said, come down to Nashville. I just bought a studio. I bought Quad Studio. And that's where Neil Young cut Harvest and Jimmy Buffett cut Margaritaville, just this classic old studio. Said, let's come down and let's start working on a record. And I did that. I went down once a month for about a week, and we just worked on it over the course of 2 years. We recorded the vocals at another studio he owns in Maui. And I just really took it to be really centered around great songwriting, great songs, and non-genre specific. There's stuff that's more aggressive on here, and there's stuff that's direct up pop, and it's really wide ranging. We did it deep, 14 tracks, just because we wanted to put everything on there that we thought was great, and it really turned out to be a record I'm really proud of. And it's getting a great reaction. We cut some fun videos, and it's really having a blast with it, and I'm excited about the response it's gotten is a little overwhelming. It's kind of like when I performed the song Trees, and seemed that people just really took notice for some reason out of the box. Kind of with this record, people are just taking notice out of the box, and it's really fun it's a really, really amazing feeling that people care.
Nice. So what's the plan for release on this?
So I've been working with a team called the Sound Club over the last couple of months, and really kind of modern in it, and we're going old school a little bit as well. Modern with it, it's a lot online in social media campaigns and getting it out there, wide ranging. The show in Rockstar in Excess was really wide reaching, being international, quite like your show being international. And in order to get to those people, it's hard to tour, get everywhere in the world. So really doing a substantial social media campaign. That's why we have 3 full videos and a lyric video as well, just to let people know about the record, and then kind of following it up with radio, and going to be pushing a single, and then following that, depending on where the song reacts, is kind of how you lay out the tour. is if it's really reacting in the Midwest, we're going to focus on the Midwest. If it's reacting on the
Right.
coast, follow the lead. So got a new manager, TJ Sagan, who's on board with the Disturbed team. Has a really good understanding of kind of how to release something new, especially coming from an artist, where I've come from. So it's really cool, and we're just kind of letting the success of the songs, provide the direction for how we attack it is in terms of going live.
Nice, very nice. I know you mentioned you got some videos out, and I really, really like the song, and I really enjoyed the video for La La La. What a great concept, and what a good song.
Oh man, thank you so much. That was one that it seemed, coming from, performing with LA Guns and writing with LA Guns and coming from the Love Hammers and coming from In Excess, that's the one song that seemed for me to be really out of the box from maybe where I have been. And I was a little more like, do we put this on the record? And Marty Fredrickson was really like, this is an unbelievable song, and this is something that could really give you legs as far as this album. And we took a chance on it, and it is one of those songs that I'm amazed. One of the players that I toured with in LA Guns, reached out and he said, hey, when you get to LA, I want to step on stage and play this song with you, do this little campfire jam with Big Al. And it's just amazing that people, it's really finding a way into people's lives that I didn't imagine it would. And then the video was just total fun and respect for, the artists that moved generations like Dylan and Elton John and Axl Rose, and it was just so fun to tweak it out like that with the video. And man, that song really turned out to be really a gift.
Well, it's funny, I watched the video, and I kind of, to be honest with you, I got lost in the video first and found myself with a big smile afterwards, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, I got to hear the song. So I went back and just kind of closed my eyes and listened to the song, and said, this is a really good song, and then visiting it again, watching it with the concept of it being a good song and a great video, it just came together as a full package for me, and I thought, well, what a good job.
Oh, thanks so much. It really brings me back to the early MTV days when a video is really closely associated with the song, and it kind of gives you the memory of the song together with the tone of the video. And I really wanted to do that. I wanted to really hark back to those days when the videos were really important, and they almost made you remember the artist by that video. And it just turned out so well. We did another one for a song called She's on a Roll, and it's a similar thing. It's a story, and it kind of, you follow through the video, and there's a payoff at the end. When you watch till the end, you get the big twist. And it's just a great way to do it. And I think the concept videos are a little overlooked these days. They just don't see as many of them. But they're really fun if you get the right tune behind it. And that's the fun stuff with this more, straight up rock stuff and not being metal. You really get to get inventive with the songs. And you can actually be, I try to be a little, add a little humor to the video too, because there's so much content out there. It's nice that you got a bright song that people kind of get a laugh at the end of a video or find it cool.
That's craftsmanship, my friend. And that's
Is that what it's called? Right on. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So, the new record, what's the title of the new solo record going to be?
It's called The Ground You Walk On. It's released May 26th, and I'm really, really excited about it. We had a great pledge campaign leading up, and we got another video on the way. One song was, the concept started to be written with Andrew Ferris from In Excess, the songwriter from In Excess, and Marty Fredrickson when I was at Rockstar In Excess. And then it came through, and we finished that song, and it's on this record. So it's a little bit of like what I sound like with Andrew Ferris and In Excess. So it's kind of cool. We definitely went straight up In Excess vibe, big beats and big vocals. And it was pretty cool to get to step in that and feel what it would have felt like, if I had won that gig and get to live that dream through a song on this record. It was pretty twisted and cool.
Nice, very cool. I can tell by your attitude, by your songwriting, by your social posts, music is 100% alive in your soul and your life. everybody's bemoaning the fact that, oh, the music industry's dying, it's on its last legs, and the death of this and the death of that and blah, 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 blah. I don't think that's true.
Absolutely not. It's definitely not. It's all changing. That is true.
Right.
But it's not dead in any way. And the cool thing about when it's changing is it gives independent artists a shot. Back in, say, 1995, it was all directed by major labels. You didn't have a chance if you didn't have a major label behind you. Now it's an open world. You have as much of a chance of success as a major label throwing $1 million behind something. You just need a right angle, and you just need a passionate team around you, and anything's a possibility. So I think it's a positive where the music industry is fumbling. It gives independent artists an opening to find a little keyhole in there to get your product out there, and people will care because they don't know if it's coming from Epic or if it's coming from Marty Casey Records. They're just seeing it online. So if you could be inventive, you could be smart about it, and then direct your touring to be really smart so you're not wasting money just pretending like you have a lot of dates. If you're really being smart, you can have success. And, my wife, thank God, is a big believer in the project. She's in 2 of the 4 videos. But it's, on her end too, it's teamwork and say, let's direct the next 2 years to this album and have a blast with it and see how far we could take the dream. And then what's next? I'm having a kid coming up soon, and that's another new adventure for us. But music is really, that's the foundation of how we got together. My wife and I wrote a song together, and that's how we say, let's push this dream as far as it could go. And then, then we find the next dream, and we push our lives around that. So right now, all on board for just making cool, fun stuff happen with the ground you walk on. And it's just been an absolute blast. So independent artists, it's wide open right now. And for heritage artists, keep like LA Guns, look at the rebirth of people that care to see that original lineup back together. It's like there is no quitting. There's such an open market right now. It's time for every independent artist to dive in. Don't worry about being signed.
Exactly.
Just release great stuff.
Well, I think we've come full circle with, you think back to, in my opinion, the Beatles are the ultimate rock band, period.
Yeah,
and when the Beatles first started, they, they didn't have any promotion behind them at first. It was rock and roll started out with fans trading, music with other fans, and the groundswell took it up. And I think that, given the industry now, and it's hard to get on the radio per se, on terrestrial radio. We're back to that. Hey man, have you heard this band? Have you checked this band out? And by winning social media fans, you're gonna, like you just said, you're gonna further yourself. It's gonna spread. And I think that's where we're at again.
Yeah, we have a big button on Facebook and pretty much every other site that says share. And it's the easiest thing to do. If you find something that moves you, you share that. That goes out to all your fans. So what a better way to grassroots the operation. And that doesn't cost you anything. That's just a matter of if you write something great, or if you put a great video together and you're really presenting it with some heart, and you're standing behind it and you're promoting it and you're going to be out there playing it, people are going to see your flag, they're going to jump on your train, and it's going to be a cool ride. And it's so wide open right now. I think people are underestimating how much power they have in the industry and saying, oh, it's over. It's not over. The major labels have changed substantially. Radio, of course, isn't changing to help maybe independent artists at the moment. But the internet is wide open. It's the Wild West, and it's so easy to jump in and get some love.
That's true. Somebody asked me the other day when I said I was going to be talking to Marty Casey, they said, well, what is it? I'm not familiar with it. And I told them that what Marty Casey, it's a vibe. That there's your music, the tonality of your voice, the songwriting, everything. It just evokes a cool vibe, and it's music that makes me feel good. Everything that you've done. And to me, that's winning. That's what music's about.
I think so. I think that's why, of all the artists Marty Fredrickson could have chosen to do a record with, I think why he chose me is I think he just found, as he has said before, there's just something in the tone of my voice that's really believable, and like you get it the first listen through. You just kind of understand.
Right.
And what was really cool is for this record, The Ground You Walk On, he really threw all the focus on the vocal, and maybe for this one record for me, not just screaming all over it. He's like, give your voice a chance to connect with the listener and trust it. Don't just try to, passionately scream everything like that's going to get into their heart. Really try to sing on this record because your voice is just so believable, and it just finds its way into people's understanding of these songs when you deliver it. I don't know if it's your delivery, your tone, what it is. So we really focused on that, and I appreciate you saying that. The compliment, very appreciated, and thank you. I'm humbled by it, actually. But it is a vibe record. It's definitely a summer vibe record. It's all about really great songs. A lot of them I wrote with Marty Fredrickson. Some of them Marty Fredrickson pulled in, and we just got a deep record, and it's just all over the board and a great listen when you put it on from front to back. And it is all about that vibe. And we sit around and we listen to it when we finally completed it. And it's the same thing we said. We're like, man, what a cool vibe jumping around through this record. It never does the same thing twice. So thanks so much for saying that, man. It means the world to me.
Nice. And we're looking forward to it. We're actually, on the Hellion Rocks, we get a lot of, and I ultimately end up, even if I get a free advance copy, I usually end up buying a record to support. And I think everybody listening, this is how bands and artists like Marty Casey make their living. Buy the music. It's what is it, the cost of a latte or a couple lattes or something? This is supporting keeping the music we love alive. So buy the record. Look it up. Marty, the world is yours right now. 140 countries tune in and listen to my podcast and stuff. I want to open it up to whatever you want to talk about for the next minute or so. It's you. Go for it.
When we grow up, that we have that phase of like 13 years old where music is allowed to really move your entire life. And I think people grow away from it maybe after high school and college. They kind of grow away, and of course, more important things like family are there. But I really wish everybody could open their mind and reach out like they did when they were 13 and find songs that really influence and direct their entire life, like it changes your day. It puts a smile on your face. If you're aggressive, it makes you aggressive, makes you passionate. And just open your mind up like when you were 13 years old or 15 years old and let that music affect you to that degree. And when you find those songs that are the new influencers of your life, just like the AC/DC did and the early Van Halen did, when they move you like that, then go see those artists. It's still a real deal. It's still happening. Rock and roll still rules the world. You just got to open your ears, and you got to find the time to support it, and also search it out and find those 10 tunes that are the soundtrack of your summer 2017. Make that mixtape. Give it to all your friends of all these cool artists you discovered. Be the cool guy on the block or girl on the block that's making music matter again, and just live it. Have parties and play that mixtape and show everybody those 10 cool artists that you are now big fan of, and you go to their shows and you take a snapshot of that show and you tell your friends you went to it and you spread the love. But live that music again. You could be a kid again. You could be a kid forever if you allow yourself to actually open your mind and love music again and not just listen to it, but actually love it.
What a profound statement. I couldn't have said that any better. That's exactly, you just hit everything I feel. So we're talking to Marty Casey. One last time, tell us about the new record, how we can get it, when it's coming out, anything you want to talk about it.
Yeah, May 26th, 2017. The Ground You Walk On, Marty Casey solo album, and you can get it at iTunes and Amazon and every online site. You can, you'll be able to go to my site, martycaseymusic.com, if you want a signed physical copy, and I got T-shirts and all that. But I just say, just listen to it. Find the videos on YouTube. Check out Marty Casey on Facebook artist page, and just find the music and listen to it. I'd love it if you buy it, if it moves you, but just at least give it a shot to your head and listen to it. And I just want to say thanks to the Hellion Rocks and you, James, for supporting, the artists that aren't as well known as well as the big artists. And you're giving me a voice, and you're letting 123 countries know about Marty Casey record, man. You're the real deal. You're spreading the love, and you're keeping rock and roll kicking ass.
Right on. Thank you. Thank you for those kind words. This is the Hellion Rocks. Marty Casey. We're out.